good morning from Chicago O'Hare Airport. I am making the 2,200-mile journey today from Chicago to Seattle. Now by airplane, that's going to take about 4.5 hours. On the way back, however, I am taking Amtrak's Empire Builder train, and that's going to take about 46 hours. So I'm really looking forward to it. Should be a really fun and exciting adventure, and hopefully plenty of relaxation along the way. My name's Jeff, and I believe the journey is half the fun. All right, well, I made it to Seattle. So in just a few minutes, I'll be heading over to the station to check out the Empire Builder train, where it's gonna take me 45 hours to get all the way back to Chicago. Now, the cool thing about this is this legendary train line has been around for nearly 100 years. It was introduced in 1929 by the Great Northern Railway and was taken over by Amtrak way back in the early 70s, and they've been running ever since. The Empire Builder currently has about 500,000 passengers a year and runs every day back and forth, both eastbound and westbound from here and Portland. The trains will meet up in Spokane, Washington and connect, and then they'll head over to Chicago together. So really looking forward to it, and I'll meet you back at the station. King Street Station, Seattle opened way back in 1906 as a Union station for the Great Northern Railway and Northern Pacific Railway. In 2013, the station went through a $55 million renovation, restoring it to its original glory. There are no shops or food here other than a couple of vending machines, so if you'd like to bring any snacks, be sure to pick them up in advance. And here's our train coming into the station now. Let's hop on board. This is my first time on an overnight train, and this is something that's been on my bucket list for a really long time. I chose the Empire Builder because its scenic route travels amongst the part of the country that I've seen the least of. And since we're traveling in October, the autumn foliage should be absolutely fantastic. And for today's journey, I'll be traveling in an Amtrak Roomette, which is a small sleeper cabin that sleeps 1 or 2 people. And I'll be here in Roomette number 10, which is located upstairs and is also right next to the dining car, which turned out to be very convenient. Here's my home for the next 46 hours. And soon we were off, leaving just a few minutes late, but I was certainly in no rush to get anywhere. As we left Seattle, I took a few minutes to get familiar with the Roomette and checked out things such as the temperature controls and the closet and storage.
We do apologize. We did leave just about 5 minutes late there, but we can make up that time. Folks, we're still under a federal mandate to wear those masks, so please wear those masks at all times while riding the train. The only time that you can either remove your mask or take that mask down to your chin is if you're actively eating or drinking, or if you're in that private room accommodation. Once you close that door behind you, you can remove that mask. Just a few things about the train as we get going here, folks. If you're looking for those restrooms, they're located downstairs in the vestibule area, the same way that you entered the train, downstairs in the vestibule area. And we do have designated smoking stops en route all the way to Chicago. Our first one will be in Wenatchee in about 4 hours. If we incur any lengthy delays, conductors will make an announcement, let you know what's going on out there. Our next station stop of Edmonds, Washington, coming up here in about 25 minutes. Sit back, relax, enjoy the trip, and welcome aboard. Thank you.
All right, so we're like an hour into the journey now. I believe we just left Everett, Washington, and it's been a pretty cool experience so far. The Roomette's like really comfortable, really enjoying it. Service seems great so far. I made a dinner reservation for 7:45. I had a late lunch today, so I figured I'd check out dinner a little bit later this evening. So just kind of take it easy for the night, have a nice relaxing evening.
Together, I don't know where we're going.
So anyway, we're rapidly losing our sunlight here as the sun has just gone down for the night. So I hopefully you've enjoyed some of the views along the way so far, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of spectacular views to come in the next couple of days. All right, and now let's not waste any time getting to the part of the video that I know you're all here for. It's time for the loo review. The Amtrak train bathroom is perhaps a slight step above one you'll find on a 737 aircraft, but it was well stocked with all the essentials and kept very clean throughout the journey. I did appreciate this sign on the door encouraging fellow passengers to clean up after themselves, and for the most part they did. There are also separate showers, and we'll check those out tomorrow. And before I knew it, it was time for dinner. My dinner reservation was for 7:45, and you can check out the 3-course dinner menu here. One nice feature is that the first alcoholic beverage is included with your dinner. So for tonight I start off with a salad. I enjoyed the steak, which was actually cooked really well. And for dessert I enjoyed the chocolate torte, which I would have a couple more times before the end of the trip. Throughout the journey there'd be several extended stops that Amtrak refers to as fresh air breaks. And our first one is here in Wenatchee, Washington, which is pretty much smack dab right in the middle of Washington State. Now while I was at dinner, my cabin attendant Jimmy had converted the roomette into the bed configuration, which was all set up for a comfortable night's sleep. I wasn't sure how well I'd sleep on a train because I often struggle to get a good night's sleep on a flight, but I really slept great. Maybe it was the motion of the train or the soothing sound, but I found it to be very relaxing. Welcome to Whitefish, Montana. This is my first time in Montana in over 20 years. I'm really excited to be back here. And I also made sure to set an alarm and get up in the middle of the night to check out Idaho, my 47th state. So we're just here for a quick fresh air stop, then we're back into the train off to Glacier National Park, which should be a very scenic day. It's a little bit cloudy, not too bright yet. It's only about, I don't know, maybe 7:30 or so. It hasn't got very light yet, but still should be a great day for sightseeing. Really looking forward to it. Check out this baggage car. A little different than the airport. Today will be the highlight of our journey, a full day relaxing on the train, spent mostly in Montana and crossing the Rocky Mountains through Glacier National Park.
We're taking the long way home. 2 hearts and a great unknown.
For breakfast, you don't need a reservation, and this morning I went with the omelet, which came with bacon and a croissant. Have you visited Montana before? I'd love to hear about your experiences in the comments below. For me, Montana is one of the most beautiful states I've ever been to, and I think the Rocky Mountains is probably one of the most beautiful parts of the United States.
And we'll close our eyes, 'cause I'll go where you lead me. Yeah, I'll go where you lead me.
Soon enough, I'd catch my first glimpse of snow for the year, which was really exciting because winter is my favorite season, and I am really looking forward to ski season this year. Certainly can't beat the scenery here at Glacier National Park. So I just had a great breakfast, had a shower, feeling refreshed. Now I'm gonna go check out the observation car in a little bit and see what that's like. We're gonna head past the dining car, through the coach cabin, and here we are in the observation car. Amtrak's observation cars are called Sightseer Lounges and are available on 7 of Amtrak's long-distance routes. These cars also have a cafe located downstairs where you can purchase food and drinks, including alcoholic beverages. The Sightseer Lounges are open to all passengers with open seating, and I had no problem finding a seat at any time on this journey.
Oh, you're like the sun.
After hanging out in the Sightseer Lounge for a little bit, I decided to head back to my roomette where I would relax for a bit more before lunch. We're in Shelby, Montana for our second fresh air stop of the day. It's about 11:30. It's been a really great morning so far. Really enjoyed the observation car. It's a lot of fun. Very scenic drive, very scenic ride through Glacier National Park. I'm looking forward to seeing more of the sights later on this afternoon.
There's no end if you believe. Just take my hand and come with me. Oh, you're like the sun coming up. You make my world come alive.
One thing to note on these routes is that Amtrak does not have priority when using the rails, so sometimes you'll have to stop for an extended period of time for a freight train to cross, and that could delay your journey a little bit. So always a good idea to build in a little bit of a time buffer just in case. And today for lunch I chose the grilled chicken Caesar salad, which was great. If you pause this, you can read the history of Havre. We're in Havre, Montana for a very, very quick stop. Back on the train. Now, if you didn't pause and read that sign, we'll get into the history of Havre, Montana a little bit more later on.
Look outside.
All right, now let's take a little bit of a walk all the way to the back of the train. One thing to note is the Sightseer Lounge is actually really empty this afternoon. There's plenty of open seats and a lot of great views to be had. If you go to the very back of the train, you can get a cool view of the tracks looking out the back window. This narrow hallway contains the bedrooms in the sleeper car, which have their own private bathrooms and definitely a lot more space. And even the coach cabin has some pretty comfortable chairs with plenty of legroom and lots of recline. But I think I'll hang out here in the Sightseer Lounge while it's nice and quiet.
This is everything. This is everything.
I headed downstairs to grab a snack from the cafe. This is where I met Todd, who saw my camera and graciously opened the window so I could get an unobstructed view. Very cool. Later on, Todd gave a presentation in the Sightseer Lounge describing the areas we were crossing through and some of the history behind it, which I really enjoyed. He also said he didn't mind if I filmed him, so I'll share some of that with you now.
We gotta go all the way back to the 1890s. A young couple was riding in one day on horseback. The town didn't have a name yet, and it just so happened that this couple wasn't getting along that day. They were fighting. So they decided to stop at the local watering hole and see if they could resolve their differences over a drink. They walked into the bar, and the bartender said something to the guy about his wife being good looking, and he said, "That's fine, I don't want her, you can have her." Havre, Montana, that's how they supposedly the town got its name. As they were building the railroad coming through this area, they needed to name their towns. They spun the globe and stopped it with their finger, and they landed on Glasgow and Malta. Honest to God truth. Now, that brings to mind the question, if they had landed on Beijing and Tokyo, would you have Tokyo, Montana? Maybe? I don't know. Possibly. Now, our next stop after that is going to be Williston, North Dakota. Williston is the smallest city in the country with an international airport. I can promise you folks, you cannot go to Williston and book a flight to London today. That isn't going to happen, okay?
I chose an earlier dinner reservation tonight at 5 p.m. and really enjoyed the chicken enchilada as my appetizer. For the main entree, I went with the salmon, which was excellent, and finished off with the familiar chocolate torte. With all the food that Amtrak includes, I didn't ever find myself feeling hungry. There was plenty of food on board, even for a hungry guy like myself.
As well All students are stopped. Please gather your belongings and head downstairs to the train. And thank you for riding Amtrak.
All right, finally made it to North Dakota, my 48th state. Really excited to be here. Only got 2 more left. If you have any guesses on what those 2 states are, leave a comment below. We're here in Minot, North Dakota. It's the last fresh air stop of the evening. It's about 10 o'clock at night, so this is pretty much it. I'm gonna go get some sleep and have a nice comfortable night's rest, and I'll see you in the morning. I had another great night's sleep on board. Now I thought maybe I'd get bored being on a train for so long, but I found the opposite to be true.
You got your mama's sunshine, you got your daddy's rain. You're like a piece of heaven in a hurricane.
Very lovely morning in St. Paul, Minnesota, here back at the Twin Cities. If you haven't been here before, I would definitely come for the Minnesota State Fair. It's probably the greatest fair in all of the United States. Would definitely recommend checking that out. So I think this is our final fresh air stop of the trip. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, and looking forward to another day of relaxing on the train. We should be into Chicago around 4:30ish, 5 o'clock. It looks like we're running maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes behind, pretty close to schedule. So hopefully we keep that up the rest of the day and have a wonderful day back on the train.
You got your mama's sunshine, you got your daddy's rain. You're like a piece of heaven in a hurricane.
Apparently I failed to film my breakfast, but the bacon eggs were great. I know Amtrak doesn't have the best reputation for onboard dining, and this is certainly no 5-star dining experience, but I was pleasantly surprised. What also really impressed me was the friendly service from Eric in the dining car. He was fantastic, and another person that really made this a very enjoyable experience. Now, one thing that didn't impress me as much is this wonky shower head, but if that's all I have to complain about at this point, then I'd say we're doing pretty good. Winona, Minnesota. Winona, Minnesota. Got an extra smoke stop. I think this is the last one of the trip, so our next time off the train will be in Chicago.
All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get this little presentation going here. Want to welcome you all aboard once again. If you haven't been with us through the overnight hours and so on, it should be a beautiful day going down the river this morning. This is known as the Upper Mississippi Valley region. That first bridge is the most important one, folks. It crosses the Mississippi. It's been there since 1890. I hope all of you know how to swim. Right in the middle of that bridge, we will cross from Minnesota into Wisconsin. Now, there's no white dotted line, there's no lights, there's no sign, there's nothing to tell you that you're crossing from one state into the other. But you will know that you're in Wisconsin, especially if you're a sports fan, because you will feel just a little bit more like a champion than you do right now in Minnesota. Water skiing started at Lake City, Minnesota. That's correct. It did not start in Tahiti or Hawaii or some other exotic locale. It started right here in Minnesota. Now, my theory behind that, folks, is when you only have the Vikings to cheer for, you've got to have something else to do. No, just kidding. It really is. It's a remarkable place. So sit back and enjoy the ride, folks. Thank you very much.
Each of Todd's presentations lasted around 15 to 20 minutes, and as someone who grew up in the area, he offered a wealth of knowledge and fun facts to share with us all.
If time could stand still or just slow down, maybe we could have held on to this shaky ground.
For the final leg of the journey today, we'll continue heading southeast through Minnesota, crossing over into Wisconsin, where we'll head over to Milwaukee, and then south from there alongside Lake Michigan straight to Chicago, where our train journey concludes. For the final meal of the adventure, I went with the artisan grilled cheese, which had bacon and turkey and was served with chips.
I lose control. Oh, every time I see you.
We soon entered Milwaukee, which was a reminder that there wasn't too much time left. Despite being held up numerous times along the route, we were still running on time, and to be honest, I wasn't ready for it to be over. This may have been my first overnight train adventure, but hopefully it's the first of many. Now, I booked this trip directly through Amtrak and paid $650 for the one-way fare. I could have saved about $100 more had I been able to travel earlier in the week, and during the peak summer months, you could easily pay over $1,000 for the roomette on this route. Now, considering what you would pay for 2 nights in a hotel and 6 meals, especially considering that Amtrak isn't a profitable operation, I think it's a really good deal to travel this way. Be sure to sign up for the Amtrak Guest Rewards program to earn points that you can use for future travel. And they also offer a 20,000 point sign-up bonus with the Amtrak Guest Rewards World MasterCard, which you can apply for on a link through Amtrak's website. Okay, well that's an on-time arrival to Chicago. I hope you enjoyed the Empire Builder train. It was a lot of fun, really enjoyed the Amtrak Roomette experience. Just being able to see the northern part of the country, especially going through Glacier, was just really beautiful. Had a really great time, so can't wait to do this again. Thank you so much for joining me. My name's Jeff. I believe that travel helps us build a more peaceful planet, and maybe I'll see you on my next train trip. Peace out.
The best is